Mish, welcoming you all to another week in the recap. As you can see, I've been working on my diaper changing abilities, and Tyson's super pumped to be my volunteer. Special shout out to the video maker Mark and his terrible team this week. Happy birthday, man. Yeah. Anyways, worst of luck to all you guys, and please, if you haven't got your money in, you know who you are. Man up. Send that PayPal payment. Just get it to me. Alright, see you guys.
Let's go swimming in the water. Let's go looking for future sons and daughters. Let's have a baby. Let's have a monster. Let's have a good dance. Stick around and hide her. We'll see a double. Having a vision. I've been a real chicken.
Hey boys, welcome to the Week 8 recap on the HFL Network. We're in Glenview, Illinois, in a Courtyard by Marriott for our latest edition of the season. This shirt says, let's chop some wood, but so does my beard, so it flows. Some of you may have noticed this week was slightly higher than usual in scoring, and that's for a good reason. It was the single highest scoring week in fantasy since Week 7, 2011. Week 17, 2011. Straight Madden scores across the board. It's also my birthday at the time of this recording, so hip hip hooray for that. Enough of that nonsense, though. I do have to thank our commish for that interesting but highly entertaining intro video. Guys, anyone can send those in. I'd really appreciate it. It makes it a lot better than just having some random YouTube video start the recap every week. Like he said, though, seriously, get your dues in, boys. It's about to be Week 9. It's out of hand. Enough of that nonsense, though. Let's get to the good stuff. To the head-to-head portion of the recap. First up, we got Joykinoff taking on Mother Tuckers. Let me just start by saying this matchup was easily our highest scoring in a long time, if not ever, with an absolutely absurd 309.24 combined points scored in this matchup. Both teams put themselves in the best possible situation for the playoffs with high scores like that. But since we're in a league that scores decimals, you know someone almost certainly has to win. This matchup didn't start great for my squad, Joykinoff on Thursday, thanks to some seriously questionable decision-making skills by Peyton Manning and Phillip Rivers, blessing Emmanuel Sanders, Antonio Gates, and Ronnie, who the hell is that, Hillman, with 60 points for Mother Tuckers. His scoring did not end there either. He was the first person lead to finish a week with every player cracking, and in this case, smashing the double-digit threshold. Plus, the top combined score at wide receiver for any team this season was 77.90 from those three spots. Joykinoff did not go down without a fight, though. 46 combined points from the Chicago duo of Smokin' Jay and Drinkin' Forte, and the best tight end score of the season, plopped down by Bob Gronkowski with 32.9. Ultimately, the top seeded Joykinoff, with the highest losing score of the season, 132.98, fell, as predicted, to Mother Tuckers and their stupid but not league high. This week, 176.26. Next matchup is the GOAT versus the Don Goodell. GOAT entered this week on a 4-game skid, and I predicted that would stop against another team on a losing streak. And with 20-plus points scored from the Pepsi Can Cave doorman, Matt Stafford, and Mark Ingram, it was looking good for him. But those were his only double-digit scorers. Well, that and a healthy 0 from Michael Floyd didn't help either. The Don had two players that break the 20-point threshold as well, including 22 from KC. And their special teams and defense. The Don took this one handedly, 105.86 to the GOAT's league low, 70.2. The GOAT now has been in scoring a tremendous 37.5% of weeks this season, largely in part in Week 8 due to a pathetic 7.1 combined points from their three wide receivers. Next, we got Taco versus Coon and the Cobb. These two played a neck-and-neck game that went down to the wire yet again for Coon and the Cobb. Sammy Watkins had himself a game with 21.7 and another 26.82 from Aaron Mr. Rodgers. Would that be enough to edge past Taco and beat my prediction? Breeze knocked out 25, Golden Tate and his can't touch this touchdown dances hit 21, and most surprisingly, the Minnesota defense snagged 22 to topple Coon and the Cobb and put Taco in the win column. Final here, 118.14 to 109.82. Next game is between Forsett or Butt and the Lions' #1 fan. Okay, so this one was just ridiculous. The Lions' #1 fan scored the absolute most points ever in the history of the HFL, 183.94, largely in part due to Miami's defense. What? and Area Nation Foster. They even had 2 players not break into double digits and still broke the record. Who the hell saw the Jeremy Macklin train come to town anyway? No sense in really spending much time on this one, as we have more on this historic game later on. Obviously, Lions #1 fan took this one. In our last bout, we have 50 Shades of Gold versus Zubaz. Zubaz seems to have been in the closest finishes this season, and this matchup is absolutely no break from that trend, with the differential being less than 1 point in the second closest finish of the season. This was an absolute nail-biter. For the first time in a long time, the highly drafted Seattle defense decided to prove their worth this week with 14 points for Shady. Phillip Rivers is their top scorer with 21.78, with 5 others cracking the ever-important double-digit mark. Zubaz played from behind all weekend, despite 28.6 from the best fantasy player there is right now, an annoyingly consistent talking point, Andrew Luck. 18.2 from Eddie Donatello Lacey, and 15.2 from Mohamed Sanu. But single-digit performances at tight end and kicker held them back. Despite a nice comeback, Zubaz fell short. Another close finish, 102.5 to the razor-thin margin from Shady's 103.28. That does it for the head-to-head portion. Let's keep this dog sled moving and head on to the awards. First up, we got the biggest loser. Sure, Lions #1 fan went out for the league high in the history of ever. That doesn't mean Force had to play as poorly as they did. With a final of 183.94 to Force Rebut 76.04, and with no actual investigation on my part, I am prepared to call this 107.9 point beating, the worst in HFL history. Here's a list of players that didn't break 10 points. Cam Newton, B. Marsh, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Delaney Walker, Chandler Catanzaro, Baltimore's defense, and the benched Eddie Royal. Plus 20-plus scoring from the quarterback on your bench. You had him. What are you doing? This loss should hurt in so many different ways. Force it in rebut, you were the worst, and this week's biggest loser. Our next award, everyone's favorite, the Bench Boo Boo. This is always a fun segment for me, but it's even better when something like this happens. We had a nice little brew of close finish, poor decisions, and negative scores on the starting roster to hand Zubaz his surprisingly first award of the season. How could Zubaz have avoided the .78 defeat he suffered from 50 Shades of Gold? The answer is by doing less. By doing something, he started the Indy defense, and since Big Rape decided to go off for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, yielding -2 points for the Horseshoe defense. How could Zubaz have known a mediocre quarterback like Rape would go off for that much? It's really not my business or my concern. What is, though, is handing out awards. So Zubaz, swallow the Bench Boo Boo pill whole and enjoy your medicine. That's all she wrote for the awards, gentlemen. Let's move on to Pick'em. In Week 8, I ended up going 3-2 because the GOAT couldn't win a game, and Shades of Gold decided to make a statement after I vowed to never choose him anymore. Thanks a lot, guys. Let's look at the standings real quick. Lions #1 fan hopped into first place with his all-time league high score this week. Joey Kanoff still in the top 2, though. Mother Tucker's had our biggest jump of the week with 2 spots from third up to third now with a 4-game win streak. Coon moved up to 4th place. Don drops to 5th despite winning. Taco, Forsyth, and Zubaz all remained in their respective 6th through 8th places. Shady's hopped up to 9th place, and the GOAT has seized last place with ferocity and fervor not seen since the last time the Raiders were a viable NFL franchise. Now, some of you may remember that I would be turning my detective-like focus this week to someone in the league for a malfeasance so blatant and so dastardly I had no choice as a respected journalist not to expose this wrongdoing. We all trust our commissioner to lead us on a path of righteousness and set a tone for fair play and honor in this fine league of ours. As some of you may recall, our commish made a side bet last week that resulted in changing his name to Lions #1 fan. Some say he was forced to, some say he did it on his own accord. It does not matter. That was his team name for Week 8. So you may have also noticed that during that same week, he posted the best score our league has ever seen. History books should indicate the top score in the HFL goes to Lions #1 fan in Week 8, 2014. But does it? No. No, it doesn't. Here the record clearly shows that Hot Graham possesses the all-time scoring record. Hot Graham, not Lions #1 fan, his Week 8 team name. I submit that it have an asterisk for this treason against 9 members of the league. For the record should clearly state Lions #1 fan as the record holder. You may be thinking, Mark, an asterisk. Must we be so bold? Maybe it was an honest mistake. Possibly. but I submit to the Honkie Court my second piece of evidence. From the official record of the league, the HFL chat from Monday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And I quote, "One more day till Hot Graham returns." This is from our GM, or this is from GM Eric Seatsman, our commissioner. Just thought of this. If my team holds off Matt's gay boy quarterback, the oft-injured Tony Romo, tonight, the league record will say the Lions' #1 fan scored the most points ever. Lame. End quote. Lame indeed. But knowing his true allegiance would be carved in the stone that is our league record book, GM and commish Eric Seatsma changed his team name before the scores officially posted Tuesday morning, and when it would be written into the record book. I know where I stand on this, Eric. What say you for this transgression of epic proportions? And what say you, the other GMs of this league? Was this an intentional move or a merely careless mistake? We may never know. That's enough coverage of this alleged, and I say that because I have to for legal reasons, skullduggery. Let's take a look at Week 9 and my predictions. Drinkoff will hand me a birthday present and Halloween treat by stomping a bad Force or Butt team. Hot Graham will beat up on 9th place 50 Shades of Gold. The GOAT will lose to Mother Tuckers in a much closer matchup than anticipated. Zubaz will spread his cheese all over and devour the taco. And the Don Goodell will get a second win in a row and send Coon the Cobb streaking through the chilly streets of Ann Arbor, Michigan. That does it for this edition of the recap here. See you guys all in Week 9. Make sure you set your lineups. From Chicago, Illinois, for the Honkie Football League Network, I'm Mark Krasinski, saying bad luck to all of you. Seatsman, don't ever steal my tagline again. See you guys.
I know you killed me and that's not right. Pretend that you can hold a gun, and I pretend that you're the